Okay, hi Gazala. So let's just run through this. When you are putting the title of the film, as I said in my email to you, you need to italicize it. And then the convention is that after that, you put the name of the director and the date of the film in brackets, like that. Okay, if it's a romantic fantasy, it doesn't need a capital R. Who wakes up as a vampire? I'm just looking at the grammar here. She and her new husband, newlywed. You don't need to say here. When you say movie sequence, do you mean the franchise, or do you mean just the end of this movie? I think that is probably what you mean. I would say remembering their lives together in flashback, because they're not just sort of sitting there remembering. And it's an establishing shot, isn't it? Because the camera comes down and after the previous scenes shows where they are. So it's where many different events have taken place in the previous films. When you're referring to the director, I would just use his last name. So now this shot, I mean, there are various things I would take issue with here. First of all, this single shot doesn't represent the ending of a love story, and also this isn't the end of a love story. This is, it's not summative in this way. It is, it's the culmination, if you like. It zooms with an M. Yep. Connotes their love and romance. When you say enlighten, I'm not sure that's the right word. You might want to think about something there. How elevated, how enlightened tends to refer to knowledge rather than mood, so you might want to think of something else there. You don't need to see however here. I think the bright colours, everything's in high definition in this film, so I wouldn't say that, but the bright colours in this scene are in strong contrast to the previous scenes in the movie. For example, the scene where, so here I would say, so the audience will be reminded, or Condon is reminding the audience here, by using this location, of the hardship that Bella and Edward have gone through to finally be happy together. Good. A montage is by definition about different sequences. So let's say this leads into a montage. Now, I think you need to analyze a little bit of the exchange, the shot reverse shot between them, the way, the closeness of the framing, so that they're extraordinarily close. And when they kiss, you can hear the sound of their kiss, which brings a kind of intimacy for the audience. That kind of diegetic sound is very intimate, and the camera is very close on her face and on his face, which is quite uncomfortable for me. But nonetheless, that's my daughter who's listening to this laughing. Nonetheless, it is for an audience who love Robert Pattinson. It's perfectly appropriate. But she does this. There's a kind of special effect that shows that she is taking him back. It's not just a montage that breaks out from the action here. If I can get. to the moment. So here's the shot reverse shot that I'm talking about. I should turn it up a bit. You get the long shot.
You show me again?
Oh, sorry. He's shown her once. There. Okay, so I think you need to refer to that moment, the sort of misting on the shot, and also the sound effect, that kind of rushing wind sound effect that denotes that we're going into a sequence that she is sharing her memories of their relationship with him. Okay, that's the frame that is around this montage. So I think you need to put that in at the beginning. Then let's go back to your piece. Yep, it does represent the passage of time. I don't know if it represents how willing they are to spend the rest of their lives together. I think what I would do here, apart, rather than talking about I mean, this is a good analysis of the sequence. Definitely talking about the dissolves and the fairy tale. Maybe you could give a couple of examples of the actual shots, the notable shots. So, like seeing him in his bridegroom outfit. Yes, it's not during the montage that the music starts in the background in a J cut, or a J cut is used with the music underlying. I guess it's that scene that we just looked at before the montage begins. Can we find out what that song is? You're quite right that if you know what the lyric is, then you can talk about that maybe a little bit. And you're very right. The pace, the tempo of the music is very slow, and the fact that it uses a female voice adds a degree of romanticism, or it feels romantic. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going a bit quiet here. I'm going to pause and make another point in a sec. I'm just reading onwards. Okay, Gazelle, I've just watched it again to try and remind myself. So this, I think you might use the song "A Thousand Years," Christina Perri, which is a duet. It's interesting that it goes through the montage, the whole song, and I think the only bit of harmony, the duet, comes in at the very end of the montage when it fades back into them in the field, when it dissolves back into them in the field. I think that's significant. So you could also talk about how the lines work alongside, parallel the action that we're seeing. So when we first met, obviously the shot that goes with it is when we first met. The problem with this section really is that you're explaining about the saga, the Twilight saga, and you're not analysing the very specific shots and techniques that are being used as part of the montage. So I'm just going to run through the montage and give you my impressions of it. But really, I think you're going to need to bring a little bit more detail into what you're writing here. I'm going to stop this and